Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges, and just recently a very cool mod has dropped on the workshop known as Waka's Campaign Land Battles Map Pack, WCLB for short, which seems to be a Land Battles spiritual successor to GCCM. It's got no settlement battles. I'm not sure if that's planned in the future or there might be a separate mod, but it does have a lot of land battles, and I think that it's kind of important because while Total War Warhammer does have a lot of land battles, the big issue is a lot of stuff will unfortunately repeat. Depending on where you are, like for example, if you're playing as the Empire, you're going to see those Empire maps a lot. And the repetitiveness can kinda, well, be annoying, right? It happens a lot with Total War Warhammer 3, especially in the Immortal Empires, because the map is so big and there is just simply not enough official maps. It's something that I've complained about a lot to Creative Assembly, and they're aware of it, but there's only so much that they can do, obviously. Now, it's not a bad thing. A lot of CA's maps are actually very, very cool looking, and they're thematic and so on, but a big issue is that since a lot of those maps also get reused, recolored, basically recolored and put into different locations, you're seeing the same map over and over. So what this map mod does is implements a large number of maps. Some of them are repeated, but very faintly, and it just adds it into the map pool in the campaign, meaning that you're still going to get the original ones, but you also have a chance of seeing these in different locations. So there's a few maps for Ulthuan, for example, and Ulthuan's the biggest issue here because it's such a small nation, yet only has such a few amounts of land battle options that it becomes so common to see it just gets grating. So looking at the files themselves, it's around 27 maps, around, I want to say 5 of them are recolors, so just the same format, just in a different style, but I think that it works out really, really well, as this means that there is a lot to play around with, there is a lot to see. All these maps are also available in land battles, so you can test them out for yourself, but I'm scrolling through them, I'm just having a little bit of a flyover. The main reason why I've got like the unit cards and the UIs showing is so you can see how big these maps are, you know, the little details and so on. I always find it better to showcase maps with the actual deployment zones and so on, because I feel like you get a better gist of how it's going to be in game rather than just scenery, because the problem with Total War Warhammer, well, it's not really a problem, but like the scenery in the background blends well that you think, oh, this might actually be attached. Many of these maps are also used in domination mode and for multiplayer tournaments, so they're fairly well balanced, whereas others are campaign specific, which means that they're not going to be as balanced in terms of like visual style, how the terrain is built and so on, but that's what you expect from a campaign map rather than everything being symmetrical. Symmetrical is kind of boring, especially with the scope and scale of the Warhammer Fantasy world. So yeah, I kind of like what I'm seeing. This is definitely a great push for modding because it's a massive pack. Hopefully more maps get added into the future because this adds the variety. I was playing around with the maps last night and it's kind of cool. It reminds me of GCCM. The only difference is obviously GCCM was focusing on settlement battles, whereas this is focusing on just making the campaign less of a slog, which, let's be honest, there is a lot of a slog when it comes to the campaign with way too many repetitive maps. This happens in Grand Cafe, this happens in the Mountains of Morn, the Empire, pretty much anything which is kind of large and concentrated with the same culture. I'm showing off the races alphabetically rather than race because I feel like it just has a little bit of variancy. You'll see different stuff here, and honestly I like what I see. I really like what I see, because one fear I had when we eventually see the opening of Indian Koresh, not so much like race packs, but rather we know that they're going to open up eventually, it's going to have the same maps just with a little bit of different, well, here's hoping at least a little bit of different, assets and so on, just to be differently visual. The grand majority of those maps will be reused, and it's becoming too common. I understand why Creative Assembly aren't working on that many maps. We do get a few here and there every time like a DLC gets implemented, but I've used the mapping tools. I believe it's called Terry. It is atrocious. I actually have a lot of an easier time making stuff on the Warcraft 3 map editor than I do with CA's one, because the Warscape engine is, oh my god, it is so old at this point. It really needs to get like a proper facelift or just something completely new, because I don't know if you've tried it, and you can try it by easily just downloading the assembly kit for Warhammer 3. Like, I am seriously not joking here. There are certain things about it, like how the camera moves, just generally how you put assets on. I don't know how anyone can work like that. It is so primitive. Like, yeah, sure, that was something great in the time, but like I said, the Warcraft 3 one, literally the Warcraft 3 map maker is so much better, and that's from what, 2002? Yeah, you've been able to see a decent amount of maps. By this point, I think we're probably looking at a Tomb King one. Obviously, I'm doing the whole voiceover after testing and recording footage, and yeah, I absolutely love what I see. It's easy enough to see them in the campaign. You won't always see them. It's something very important. It's kind of mixed into the map pool, but it's definitely a lot better to have extra options, to have different stylings, than just to have the same thing over and over again. I can't wait to see how this mod evolves and if it gets new maps and so on, because it's definitely something which is just going to make your campaign feel a lot better. It's going to make you feel like you're not getting all the repetitive stuff constantly, which is overall going to give you a better feel for the campaign, as too much repetition makes it boring. How many times do you just start auto-resolving maps and battles and so on just because it's the same thing over and over again? At least I know that's something that I do, because I just don't want to deal with the same thing constantly. It's just boring. But yeah, this mod can be found in the description below, so you can try it out for yourself. Believe me, it is going to add in a little breath of fresh air to your campaign. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully the modder, Waka 3000, has some plans for stuff in the future. Obviously, respectfully asking, of course, because, you know, we shouldn't really demand anything from modders who are doing this stuff for free. But mods like this are the future of Total War Warhammer 3 in a good way, so let's hope that more of this stuff comes to light. But yeah, have a good day everyone, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.